I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Dan Shanahan, four-time Munster winner, if I have it right. Dan, how are you getting on?
Good, thanks, Shane. Yourself?
I'm not too bad. So Cork against Waterford, is this the draw you wanted? Are you enthused by this game?
Yeah, I think it is, Shane, if I'm being honest with you. When you see, I suppose, Clare getting 123 last week, Cork and Waterford in the semi-final, even for Cork, one win, you're almost a final and a quarter-final automatically. So it's a great draw for both teams. It's a brilliant draw for Liam Cahill, his management team, I think, personally. So will Kieran Kingston, his management team, that you can get to a Munster final after one victory. But again, it's interesting, Shane. Waterford and Cork, nothing between them over the years, nothing between them next Saturday either. I'm looking forward to the game now.
Yeah, and do you feel like, we're all kind of in the dark in the sense that we haven't seen Waterford play for months, we haven't seen Cork play for months. Do you get a sense this year that, like, Liam Cahill is moving the team in the right direction? And that's obviously that's no criticism of the previous management teams, both Pauric and then Derek beforehand.
Yeah, I understand, Shane. Yeah, look, I suppose when Liam came in there, it's hard for a man maybe coming in, especially Pauric after Derek and the success that Derek had. But Liam came in, the county board decided to go outside the county, which was a brave move, to be honest with you. Because we were two good Waterford lads looking for the job. Obviously, the board decided to go outside the county, and with Liam's pedigree, what he'd done with the 20s, 21s with Tipperary, I suppose, to give him an opportunity to come into Waterford and push on from there. But again, they had a great league campaign, good league campaign, introduced a lot of players. So he has, and look, from witnessing their training with the last month or so, it's very intense down there. So he's definitely bring his stamp of authority onto the Waterford senior hurlers, and I suppose sometimes that works for you, Shane, when you bring in an outside manager, that he can really come in. He doesn't know the players. He can lay down the law from the start. And we obviously know that he has done that with the lads he's left out. But every manager seems to do that when he comes in. Everyone makes a decision on different players, whether they want them or not wanted. And Liam has made that from the start of the year, and he said it. He said it himself.
Am I right in thinking he's the same occupation as yourself, driving around an oil truck? And would you ever bump into him?
I think he's getting more expensive. I think he gave it up, Shane. So
look
into that. I say he wouldn't be done driving around, Shane. I say he's more of a sales rep. To be honest with you, it's only the physical men can drive around in lorries, mate.
Okay. Pauric Mahony doing his cruise ship. That's a massive blow. Not only a leader on the field and your captain, but also a free taker.
Yeah, he's an immense person, Shane, on and off the field. His leadership on the field, he was made captain this year, rightly so. He was progressing brilliantly, and for the lads to be hit with this by Pauric a week or so before the championship, for me, Shane, he's one of the best underrated hurlers in the country. He's such a talented free taker, 9 out of 10 man, 10 out of 10 man, which is very important for this time of year, to be honest with you. But again, he's just his leadership on the field, his movement, the space he creates, comes off the centre forward, centre back, and pass the ball over the bar. He's a massive loss. He's a big quarterback in American football. Everything seems to go through him, and everything was going through him this year. But again, he's a massive loss, Shane, to Liam and his team next Saturday. Sorry.
Yeah, and how do you cope without him in the team? I presume Stephen Bennett will go on the freeze, and then it's a case of who kind of takes over that role in the half-forward line, that leadership role you talked about.
Yeah, I definitely think Stephen will take the freeze. I think Austin will need the freeze. I think Austin will have to move to the forwards now, Shane, if I'm being honest with you. Feel that centre forward spot, take a bit of responsibility on his shoulders. He was unbelievable. He did a great club campaign with Mount Sion. So he's back to his best. I was speaking to young fella about 2 or 3 weeks ago. He's in great form. So hopefully next Saturday that he can bring his A game to the tournament, and produce one of the performances. We know he can produce, but it's going to be hard, Shane. And one telling lies, they'll probably have 6 kind of forwards that haven't been through the middle, if you know what I'm saying. That 1 or 2 making their championship debut. So it's going to be interesting. But I think if Austin can hit form, small bit like Tony Kelly did last week, and he's well capable of doing that, I think Waterford have a better chance. And if Austin plays well, I think Waterford will win next Saturday.
Yeah, because he's probably going to end up having 5 or 6 shots in the game, no matter what. I mean, if I was the manager, I'd rather him having him inside the 65 than inside your own 65.
Yeah, I was listening to a lot of the people here, seeing even Sir Fowler and WR during the week, where he'd build Austin centre back and build his team around him. For me, maybe in a couple of years' time, that maybe so, but not at the moment. I think he's a forward. When he's on his game, he's so hard to handle. You see the goal he got against Cork above in Cork Park 2 years ago. He danced in through the half hour and finished it brilliantly, didn't it? You know, that's what he can do, Shane, and he's in the best shape of his life, to be honest with you. So he's went away during the first COVID spell, and went away and looked at himself, and he got into massive shape, like, you know, and you know, but there's plus sides and minus sides there. But he's a great lad off the field as well. You know, I look at wicked time for the lad. I've been involved with him for 5 years. I've seen a lot of fellas here, a lot of fellas knocking him. But if Austin can play well next Saturday against Cork, like, you know, Waterford have a better chance of winning, to be honest with you, Shane. He's just, for me, I just think he's more dangerous in the forwards at the moment. Like, there will come a time where you can build your team around him and centre back, but just not at the moment.
Yeah, just as you mentioned that 2017 goal against Cork, and you know the way it was obviously portrayed on the game, that show with all the TV angles and the slow-mo. Well, like, you were obviously on the sideline. Can you kind of paint the picture of what you saw was happening?
It was probably running down the line when he got to what, to be honest with you, Shane. When he's that day, like, you know, he was just immense. And I think he looked up and he saw the brick inside, and I think he gave an extra drummy, so finished himself. But it was an unbelievable goal. He's well capable of that. It's like when he came on the scene in 15, the goal he got against Cork again. Shane, that when he ran down the line, he was tight angle and he buried to the top corner of the net. But that's the talent he has. Yeah. But again, Shane, look, hopefully that next Saturday he can bring that to Thurles again.
Like, Desi Hutchinson looks obviously a brilliant talent. He's a former professional soccer player. He had some really good days with Ballygunner both last year and this year. Now, when he played for Waterford during the league this year, he was kind of up and down, but you can still see that the talent is there. I presume you would have watched him closely during the club championship. Are you expecting much from in season one?
I am. Sometimes, Shane, you know, when you're in your first season, there's no pressure on you, you know, and there's no expectation. He's a massive talent. I will say that Ballygunner played to a system down here in Waterford that the quality of ball he gets is probably better quality than he would get with Waterford, because the simple reason is that Ballygunner can beat any club team down here, and they have the players to do the damage. Whereas inter-county level, he's going to be marked very tightly next Saturday, Shane. You know, so it's a big step up for him. I think he's mentally very strong. He's proven that himself, even with the soccer. You have to be strong to go to England and try and make it over there to come back and to do what he's done. You have to respect him for that. Like, you know, he's a good lad. He's a great lad. He's a massive club campaign this year. The goals he got, the movement he's created, he's unmarkable. He can take it anyway too, Shane, if I'm being honest with you. You know, he can mix it with one or two. We played this year, and one of our lads happened to mix it with him, and he just laughed at it, like, you know. So he's able to mix it, Shane. Like, you know, he's a good lad. He's a great lad, like, you know, and I hope it goes well for him next Saturday.
The one thing I'd say that he could develop, and look, sure, who am I to really tell him what to do? But so often he seems to go on the outside and take the point when you'd imagine he's got the speed and the athleticism to actually turn and go for goal. He doesn't seem to do that. Yeah,
that's a good point, Shane. And I think, like, I suppose two of our lads have been, they have been, you know, have been taught of that too. They didn't go down the middle, if you know what I'm saying. They'd have to take the punishment to go down the middle. They'd rather go outside than go down the middle. But again, it's up to the player himself. Sometimes you have to take the option, like, you know, and take the punishment down the middle. And no doubt he will next Sunday, because let's be honest now, Shane, that Cork are a good, clean hurling team. They'll be good, hard individuals, don't get me wrong. But you can play hurling against Cork, like, you know, it's just clear. We may be a different story. Limerick would be a different story. Tipperary would be a different story. Cahill Barrett, like, you know, they're different. But Cork will come to hurl. They will get aggressive, don't get me wrong. They want to win their own battles again. But Cork and Waterford over the years have been good hurling games, and I don't expect that to change next Saturday, Shane. You know, I've looked at the weather. I think it's very windy for Saturday. So for me, it's going to be a game of two halves. Like, you know, which free taker will hit the freeze? 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. That'll be a big thing. You saw it last weekend yourself. Both games, Saturday night and Sunday. Like, the wind had a big factor, especially for Limerick in the second half. Like, you know, and the way they powered on, like, you know, and won that game.
And Cork are favourites going into the game, and I'm not entirely sure if I agree with that. Owen Cadigan's out, Darragh Fitzgibbon's out, Robbie O'Flynn is suspended, and like Brian McDonald did some stats from 2019, Cork were 11th out of 12 teams in terms of work rate, and bottom of the pile when it came to rucks. So, I mean, if you look at your Waterford team, obviously Pauric Mahony is out, but like, what a defence you have there. Conor Prunty's a brilliant player. Callum Lyons is really stepping up. Ty DeBourge's great. You know, Kevin Moore and Jamie Barr and Austin Gleeson. I don't necessarily understand why Waterford are underdogs here.
It's a great way, Shane, to go into the game, to be honest, with Waterford, and especially for the management team. Liam Carley, Cork are favourites, and let's be honest, Cork played their county final maybe 4 weeks ago. So Kieran Kingston only had the likes of Pat Horgan for 2 weeks, etc., etc. Like, you know, so where Liam can't have his lads for 4 or 5 weeks. Like, I can guarantee you, training the boys are doing, from what the bit I saw doing, it's all aggression. It's all aggression, and taking on the player, and they just have to bring their game from the trainings on the Tuesdays and the Fridays to next Saturday, and I no doubt they will, because the Cork favourites going into the game. It's kind of hard to understand that, Shane. But again, I suppose, look, the bookies will be far wrong, but I give Waterford a great chance next Saturday, because there's no one giving them a chance. And let's not forget, the prize is unbelievable, Shane. You wouldn't win away them for a Munster final. No matter who you beat in the Munster final, you're still there. And the second prize is your All-Ireland quarter final. Yeah. I've no doubt Kieran Kinks will be thinking the same thing, but I expect our lads to really take this scuff and nick the next Saturday and really go at Cork, and do what they can do and what they're capable of. As you said, you mentioned players there. Ty Buck had a nice rest this year with his cruciate, so he's come back to his best form ever. Conor Prunty, again, he's overseen his injury brilliantly. Whatever he's had to do to recover, a great man marker. They're tough lads, and I can guarantee you. I know Cork have serious forwards in Horgan, Harmony, Callaghan. They're serious men, and the individual battles next Saturday, whoever wanted more will win the game. Simple as that, Shane.
And would you put your neck out of the block and say you think Waterford will do it?
Yeah, I would, Shane. Yeah, I'll be honest, I do respect Cork. I always respected Cork. Don't get me wrong, but I also respect the likes of Conor Prunty, Conor Gleeson, Jamie Byrne. I know what they're capable of. Chairman Nutley's having a fantastic year. As well, he's really stepped up to the mark, to be honest with you. And when Caleb Lyons, I think he's a proper athlete and a proper young fella that wants to improve, Shane. And when you have young fellas to improve like that, the one question I have with Waterford forwards, they need to really click next Saturday. Jack Fagan will probably make his debut, or had a great league campaign. Jack Prendergast is in the regular. So much on Austin and Stephen Bennett in 11 and 14. I think they might start there. And you have Daisy Hutchinson inside in the corner. It's a big ask for the lads. But again, I know these lads, majority of the lads, Shane, and I know the ability they have, and I know the will to have, and especially what's happening with COVID. To be training this time of the year, and I see it myself involved there with the Waterford ladies, to be able to go training there Tuesday night is so. So peaceful, and go down there, do your bit, and get into your car and come home again. It's just clear as the head, to be honest with Shane. So it's great to see that the holding going ahead at the moment.
I actually spoke with one of your players, Niamh Rocket, at the start of the year, and she was talking about you being involved with the team, and she said, I reckon you seem to be really enjoying it. You're getting a great kick out of it.
Yeah, I am, Shane. I won't tell a lie. It's a pleasure. I just love training, Shane. I love going away, doing my bit, whether it's with myself or whether it's with someone else or with the ladies at the moment. I just love going on there Tuesdays, Fridays, and whatever we do the weekends. They're a great bunch of girls to be involved with. The effort they put in, the sacrifices they make, and the little rewards they get. It's unbelievable. And it's only Shane, when you get involved with these things, that what they go through, what they put themselves through, and get no recognition. It's just beyond me, to be honest with you. But again, that's for a later date. Maybe we just concentrate on what we're doing Tuesdays and Fridays and the weekends, and really enjoying it at the moment. And please God. It's going to be tough. We're going to Westmeath in 2 weeks' time. It's going to be a tough place to go. Anytime you're away from home. But again, look, it's in our own hands, to be honest with you. Please God. Yeah. Sunday week we get the result.
And best of luck with that. What about Tipperary against Limerick? How do you see that going?
Yeah, I'd say that it's mouth-watering, Shane. Pauric Mahony. It is. It's just unbelievable. Even last week's game, now, clear to their credit, if they scored 123. There were 15 points. They were level with Limerick at half time. When you consider, and people haven't said this, the quality of players they were missing, Clare. And to get 123, Limerick were, for me, if I'm being honest with Shane and Tuck here, when they wanted to go, they went, and they looked phenomenal. I think that the game will help Limerick. 100% will definitely help Limerick. Tipper coming in cold, which is it's not a bad way either, but I just think that game that Limerick had last week, I looked at the game. They could have given that extra pass for a goal if they wanted, but they kicked the ball over the bar, but having said that, with respect to Clare and their forward line, Tony Kelly got 17 points, and some of the key forwards didn't play well, but it's different for Tippy, Seamus Cannon, different lads next week. Bogus Dwyer, Bomber Maher back as well from a long absentee. He should be as hungry as ever. And it's going to be unbelievable to see it in Pauric Mahony as well, and. It's can't wait, another game we can't wait to see.
Do you expect Tip to be able to exploit that full back line I cleared it. I was cleared it to some degree, but can Tipperary actually make more use of it?
Yeah, it's a good question, Shane. To be honest, Mike Casey is a big loss to the full back line. Like, and Barry Nash played in the forwards last year. He's gone back corner back this year. But again, Tom Morrissey went in full back. The goal they got was a mistake from Sean Finn. I think, to be honest with you, he went up with Nash and the breaking ball. Like, when you see two good up, there's always one. The ball will come down and someone got lucky. Clare got lucky, finished up well. Nicky Quaid maybe could have blocked it, disappointed he didn't block. But again, Shane, it's just, I think they could put Dermot Bunce full back. They could do anything they wanted there and they still be the same. I really thought Declan Hannon stepped up to the really massive second half last year where he's been questioned a bit going into that game against Clare. I thought he was outstanding, especially in the second half. The two wing forwards, they have Hayes and Hegarty, oh my God, and Morrissey. They're just quality. And as good as the tip full forward line are, Limerick backs, they won't fear the lads, but they give the respect, and every inter-county player gets respect. Yeah, but you look at the other end, and how the tip back's going to stop the Limerick forwards. But Gallan maybe had a quiet game, if I'm being honest. I thought, he got one or two lovely points, don't get me wrong, but he was always there for that extra pass, Shane, if the lads looked up. So I think that something that John maybe during the week can look at and see that extra pass was onto the lad for me to step in and get a goal. And like a goal this time of the year, 36 points is great to shoot, but if you imagine getting 236, there's no team bench.
No, they wouldn't. Like I'm probably a bit biased, and I think Tipperary might just edge it. I get a sense that you're thinking it might be Limerick. Yeah,
I think Casey is a massive loss, so I do it full back. Don't get me wrong. And Seamus Cannon is a class forward, but it's a big step for Morrissey at full back. But again, I haven't seen much of Tip. You know what I'm saying to you? The game last week, I definitely think it will stand to Limerick, and it's just, I think whoever beat Limerick, Shane will have a great chance of winning Munster and All Ireland, to be honest with you. They're going to be there at both there. If we looked at them last week, it was very open, and don't get me wrong, but the players were really up for the game. I saw Hegarty there punching the air, Dermot Bunce punching the air. Only for him, with no crowd there. They were the atmosphere, to be honest. When you see the lads punching the air, they wanted to win. The hunger, they had desire to put the ball over the bar and celebrate and punching the fist in the air. That's what kept me going to watch, because it's very strange to watch a game with no crowd. And I think it's a big thing, Shane, because you will have other players that will feel less pressure going into big games when the crowd isn't there, and they seem to shine. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So I expect even one or two of our Waterford lads, with the crowd not being there, will play better next Saturday against Cork than they would if the crowd was there. If you know what I'm saying, there's no pressure on them, especially free takers, etc. So look, it's going to be a great weekend of hurling, to be honest, especially Galway and Wexford as well.
Yeah. Just a quick word on them. How do you see Galway Wexford go?
Yeah, there's no talk about Galway, to be honest with you, Shane.
Yeah.
Very little talk about them.
They're a big dark horse as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
in the All Ireland.
Yeah, because simple reason, they have power and pace. They have everything. They have all the big men in the right place. Galore McInerney, Joe Canning, Conor Whelan is a big unit. They're all big men. Hooks. We need to go on, and one thing Davey will bring, he's played a few challenge games there. He'll bring his running game. He might put 7 or 8 at the back, but they all understand what they're doing. And Wexford, I was listening there earlier on there, and Wexford, they're a great team as well. And it's Davey's 4th year. He wouldn't have stayed there if he didn't think that there's more than a Leinster title in him. But again, I just think that Galway can bring their physicality. The Manions, all them players are big players. I think Galway have a slight chance going into the Wexford game next weekend as well.
And then finally, do you give Dublin much hope of beating Kilkenny? I think everyone almost thinks that this is a foregone conclusion. I think they'll give them a very good game, but my sense is also Kilkenny will pull away later on.
Well, yeah, definitely, Shane. I just think the Dublin backs can't give the Kilkenny forwards a space. TJ Reid, it's a very, very open game in Cork Park last Saturday evening, Shane. Which is, look, it's the way the game has gone. I was listening to the commentary of the game there. Why don't Leach push on? But if they pushed on, then Shane, they could concede 2 goals. Yeah. If you know what I'm saying to you, look, you know what I mean? So, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I understand. I think Dublin played very well. I thought the sweeper they had, I think he was making his debut. He read everything. Probably looked well at centre forward, but different calibre next week. Different Killian Buckley, different target next week. You know what I'm saying to you? With Colin Findlay, different man as well next week. To TJ Reid. And again, there's no talk about Kilkenny, Shane, who have big players, physical players again. One thing I was impressed with Dublin was their bench. They had some great hurlers that were starting maybe last year and the year before, and they looked well. They got a goal. There was one or two other lads came on there, and they looked very good. Dublin game now will benefit them as well going into Kilkenny game, but you cannot give TJ Reid space around the middle of the field there. Even if they play a sweep or Dublin and Kilkenny play a sweep, he'll still come off the centre back and he'll pick off his points from play there. As with Colin Finlay, they just put Colin Finlay full forward, hit the ball into him. He's so strong to mark. I think you're nearly better off, Shane, to let him get the ball and try and block him or hook him than go compete with him, because he just blow it away and he turn you or he just back the ball into the net. It's going to be a tight game. Shane. Can't wait for the weekend sport. To be honest with you, it keeps everyone going in these strange times. Like, at the start I was questioning, is it good to have GA doing it only for themselves, or is Drum Centre for the money reasons, or for to get the lads out in the field? But again, it's so thrilling to see the games on the television. Sit down there every Saturday night or Sunday and watch the matches. And, the one thing I do miss is the crowds, Shane. I'll be brutally honest with you. We're lucky with the weather, Shane. It's been good and dry. Granted, there's been a bit of breeze, but we're just lucky to have the games for this time of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And look, thanks very much for joining me, and best of luck with the Waterford Camogie team.
Thanks, Shane. Very much pleasure, boy. Thank you.